welcome to Queen is Dead. I am Sanjeet. I have Dhruv with me, and today we have two very special guests, Filmstagram gurus, legends, with us. So we'll introduce them as their Instagram handle names, and then we'll introduce them by their names. To the people who are here are Cinetasticc and Simp For Cinema. Cinetasticc being Yash and Itish being Simp For Cinema. Both of them have been fairly active on quote-unquote Filmstagram and active in those meme circles of making memes around Fellini's or the Antoninis and everything that,
other people than Italian
classical
directors
cinema.
also.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just an example. So yeah, would you, Yash and Itish, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hello. What up, Queen is that? Okay, I have a legit question though. आप दोनों से. What do you call your fans? There has to be a
We
name.
are fans. Firstly, that's the big question. What do
There
we
has
call
to
our
be a
fans?
name, no?
What are our fans, Sanjeev?
Queenies, man. Queenies.
Queenie is okay.
I don't know, we should. कभी सोचा नहीं है ऐसा कि
क्योंकि सोचा ही नहीं कि लोग हैं तो नाम कौन सा सोचेंगे. Yeah, but no, nothing
But
as
good
of
question.
now. You suggest?
Once we release our merch, then we'll.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I am Yash and I run a meme page. I do shit post and I literally don't know anything about films, but okay, they
Very
call me.
humble. Very humble.
Yeah.
But I am honored though. I am honored. I'm really honored.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling me. Lucky.
But go ahead, Itish.
So, hi, my name is Itish, and I also run a meme page on Filmstagram, Simp For Cinema, as Sanjeet Bhaiya said. And all I do is shit post and nothing. Like, I don't do any serious thing there, so yeah, that is all I do.
Can I ask you guys a question? Like, if you like when you do like because I just joined social media again like after like 3-4 years, right? So I don't know anything about this culture they say, but like if you shitpost and all that, right, about movies which are like this important and all that, whatever in the film history and all that, like how do you like watch them? Like, while watching them, do you think you find like the memes and all you thinking about and everything, or is it like you watch it in one like proper way and then you guys think ki अरे अब इसमें से निकालते हैं कुछ?
I used to do this, but अभी तो I watch it in a proper way.
हाँ.
फिर memes की सोचते हैं.
Okay. So बाद में सोचते हैं. Okay, got it.
Nice.
For me, it depends on the film. For me,
if you don't like the film, then it's
yeah. मतलब your interest नहीं आ रहा इतना तो मतलब memes ही बनेंगे फिर.
Okay, fine. Fair.
But you're both
don't look up.
aspiring to become.
Don't look up is the new. Or you guys don't like it, I'm guessing, right?
No, for me, I don't.
Yeah.
But it's like very meta, no? Like you're like enraging about a film that enrages about social media in a sense.
Yeah. But the film just talks.
Oh, it shouts.
It didn't did anything for me.
Yeah. I think me and Dhruv also discussed in one of the episodes
which got lost.
One of the episodes which got lost was how it feels like sometimes it's like a boomer uncle making a movie about social media and don't look up in a sense.
Yeah.
I mean, but who can say anything to add?
What is the topic today, Sanjeev? Yeah, meandering about.
We are meandering. So today's topic is somewhat personal, I think, in a sense. That we are going to talk about. What was that sure about?
No, sure doesn't like it is personal. I mean, when our opinion is not personal, we've like you completely confess your love for RGV all the time. I am obsessed with Terrence Malick. Like, what else? What else is this podcast about?
I mean, something to look forward to. RGV is not even in the list of the films that I'm going to talk about.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, coming back to the topic being slightly personal than before, I mean, it's always usually personal and we have our opinions about whatever we talk about. But this time it's more in terms of films that have actually impacted us in a sense that has like changed our perspective towards films and watching, and somewhat in our personal lives of how we look at things, maybe or maybe not. But yeah, this is the thing that we're going to talk about. So we'll all go one by one and talk four films basically. I mean, we could have had any number, but we just selected four. Yeah, just like four films that have sort of changed our ideas, and we'll go with Yash first. Yeah.
Okay, let me. Okay, I will start. The first film it's the most relatable film for any cinephile. It's a game changer for sure. It's 2001, A Space Odyssey, none other by Stanley Kubrick. So let me tell you, I hated it at first. I despise it.
That's not uncommon though, that response. I think a lot of people don't like it in the beginning.
Because it totally rejected my notion of how a film should be made.
Yeah.
Because at that time I was reading this Seinfeld's screenwriting book, basically 3-act story structure. So I assumed that I know all about films and it's the only way we should judge films. That's my only judging parameter for films. So that movie shatters my perspective. And how I came to love it was Roger Ebert's essay on it. He wrote very beautifully about it, and then I contemplate on it, and I thought, yeah, this is really a perfect film, and that's how.
So you saw it after reading the essay, or
no? I saw it before. After I read
I
read some reviews and essays.
First you watched, you didn't like, then you read the reviews and then watched again?
Yes.
Okay.
I rewatched it. I have seen it like 3 times.
Yeah.
So second time I understood it perfectly.
It went from what, like 1.5 to 10 or whatever the score is.
No, it went from 2.5 to 5.
Okay.
But what did you not like in the first viewing? Was it like a very, because from whatever I felt, why people like, because I wanted to reason why people wouldn't like a film like that. Because I loved it when I watched it first, because I was like, what is this movie? It's like completely something else altogether. Like because it was like a shocker for me in the beginning, because I watched it in my earlier in my earlier phase only, when I was in college and first year watching movies and everything. And it begins with something and it ends at something. So it was like something I couldn't define it in as something like very particular. So for मेरे को एकदम ऐसा shocker लगा कि okay, oh, this is a film that is a proper experience in a way. Like it's not something like I can define it as something very specific. You cannot reason a lot of things in it, because unless you know about it. So what did you
if you know about it, I don't think you can.
Yeah, even if you. Yeah. What did you feel like? What did you not like in the beginning? Like
it's also so it's the same thing for me. But as I said, I had already assumed that I know about films after reading that screenwriting book. Yeah. You know, it was an egotistical decision. So. It's the same thing for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair only. No, I think even when I watched it in the beginning, I remember I watched it in 2-3 sittings. It's slow, man. Like I know we say slow is not so not something you can say in this podcast as a criticism, but at that point in time it's really really slow. Like this first act, like seeing apes talking and like whatever, doing the thing without subtitles and all that. Like if you are not used to it, and I think I saw it after Interstellar, so like my notion of like science fiction, I was like, oh, this is like why do people talk about this as like some classic? Because exactly. my first takeaway was it looks incredible, which was the first because like 1960s ka picture I saw, like and I was like, this still looks so good. That was my main
Yeah.
takeaway though. Like I didn't go into it thinking ki, oh wow, kitna like depth hai, or like whatever. Maybe it's not maybe there is little depth in the film, but it's so like I watched it in your cinema, Sanjeet, in 70 millimeter projected properly, like in the best possible format. And I still think there's like 10 minutes or like 15 minutes in the middle section that always feel too long. That's when they like reach the second chapter, match cut ke baad, they are just like roaming around in space and like getting
I know
introduced
what you're
to
talking about.
everything and the
Every
spaceship and everything, right? So all that I found a little bit too long, but like apart from that, the Stargate sequence and the last stuff is on, and I'll get to your big
mad.
screen thing. When you watch it on the big screen, it
It
really is something, because I was like, it's a horror movie for me actually. Space 2001 basically.
That first ape sequence, I might have just thought it's Planet of the Apes like film. That's why people like it. I thought it's an adventure film about apes and running along. I thought, but
and then the monolith comes, and then you're like, ye kya ho gaya?
Yep.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Actually, I feel one should actually watch 2001 at a very young age.
Yep.
Because
to just
I feel
get an idea of what cinema can be, right?
Yeah, no, not just like cinema wise. I feel just as an experience, like, because I feel if you watch it at a very young age, like somewhat like even like 10, 8, 9, 10, whatever. I mean,
you want
I feel
people
the
to watch
impact would be more
2001
imprinting.
at 10 years old of age.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why not?
Nothing.
No, I feel the kind of impact that it'll have on you will be more like it'll churn out better
Sanjeet.
choices. I feel.
I'll show my kid.
They'll sleep, Sanjeet, while watching it. Do you know what kids watch in general?
Kids, no. So you're talking to specific ki matlab children, because now they're like too much of phones and whatever.
Yeah.
I feel they've lost that sense of that attention span or whatever. But I feel if you keep that thing in check, and if a kid, not your kid, if a kid watches at 8, I feel it'll have a much more like a better impact on the personality.
So? I just think
but what if you would have watched it at 8? What do you think the impact was?
I think it would have been better, like, because I started looking at films in a very much more different way when I like started watching like better movies, like, or different movies. Because at that point, at 8, I was watching what James Bond, Mission Impossible, and stuff like that.
Bal Ganesh.
See, my point is like, I think you'll appreciate it more after knowing what James Bond and all is. Like, it's just like, this is one form, and this 2001 is like some other level. Like, to me, it was like that. Like, I've seen these mainstream films, which are like great. Of course they are, like a lot of them. But like, when you see 2001, you're like, what are people saying that Interstellar is revolutionary when 2001 has been there? Like, not to like this Interstellar. I like Interstellar, fair bits. But like, but 2001 like takes that it is that ambiguous, no? Like Interstellar mein to there is a core idea of like love and everything and all that, but like
I think also because from a very young age you're sort of supposed to have a consolidated answer to everything. It becomes too easy for your mind to like be okay with a lot of things. Once you start looking at things in a very different way, like ambiguous answers, I think then your like capacity to think beyond a certain point also expands. I feel.
You think an 8-year-old will do this?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Clearly, you have more faith in children than I have. So,
I mean, it's not like faith in children. It's like the earlier mindset is what I'm like more. I feel gets more.
But don't you like not remember stuff till you're like 7 or 8 or something like that?
I remember a lot of stuff that I watched as a kid. You don't.
Really?
Have a good memory.
I have zero memory from anything behind.
I have a lot of memory. I have glimpses from when I was 2 or 3 also.
Are you sure they're not like glimpses from movies you've watched and you've just replaced them with your memory?
No.
Okay.
No, anyway, okay. So moving on to Yash is another influencer.
My next film would be Eraserhead. David Lynch.
When did you watch this?
Okay,
Yeah.
I watched it. I liked it, and I watched it when I was 17. Okay, so
Wow.
Eraserhead is surreal and a horror
Hmm.
film. So I pretty much liked it. But
The first time
yeah,
you watched it?
in
Hmm.
Okay.
on the first watch.
Hmm.
But what changed is my idea of looking at cinema as an art,
Hmm.
Hmm.
as an art form.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
that's the major thing which changed after watching Eraserhead.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Is that the first David Lynch film you saw?
Ah,
Oh, wow. Okay. Because that's
I
the one
watched
people
only
go to
two
like.
David Lynch films as
Hmm.
of now:
Okay.
Mulholland Drive and Eraserhead.
Yeah, I was about to say I went from Mulholland Drive to Eraserhead. Like I thought people always do that because Mulholland Drive is popular and like it's
Yeah.
2000s also,
Even I
right?
watched
So
Mulholland
yeah,
Drive, and
but
then I went to
Eraserhead
Twin Peaks.
is really some other beast. I mean, I love Lynch. Sanjeet knows I harp on about Lynch quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Eraserhead is so good. It's just so good. Like there's very, and I think the one thing with Lynch films, to me at least, is that I think people who don't like Lynch films say that they don't actually have any substance, right? A lot of it's just
Hmm.
experimental for the sake of it. And for me, every Lynch film, maybe not Inland Empire, but I guess there also there is some like sense in it. But
Hmm.
like otherwise, all David Lynch films have like a very identifiable core to them. Like I can like core
Hmm.
emotion to them,
Yeah.
and then that core emotion you can take hold of, and then follow the whole movie however you want,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it's fine. Like I'm in for it unless I'm because I have like a connecting sort of
Hmm.
emotional thread to it, which is why I think I really like them, and they are very
अरे
weird.
इरेजर हेड से तो मैं सपने ब्रेक डाउन करने सीखा हूँ. मतलब
Oh yeah, yeah.
I literally break down a dream of mine.
Yeah, because of Eraserhead. Yeah, yeah. I mean, all of it is like that only, right? It's super like
Yeah.
Hmm.
you've not seen, right, Sanjit? And Itish,
No, I've not seen. I've
you
not
have
seen.
you
No,
have you
I have seen. I've
you've
only seen
seen?
Mulholland Drive and Eraserhead. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Oh.
How is
And what were you
Eraserhead one of the
doing?
Eraserhead? How is
70s.
Eraserhead one of the few films that like cinephiles have watched? I thought David Lynch ka Twin Peaks and Mulholland
I've seen
Drive
Twin
and Blue
Peaks.
Velvet
अरे
Yeah.
are the three things that
Mulholland Drive
everyone
is
loves.
like a very common film, right? Among
That was
cinephiles. I
like
think
yeah,
if you
yeah.
just for your
That
credibility only, you have to watch that.
yeah, basically.
Mhm.
Basically, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. Someone recommended me this first
Wow.
David Lynch
Okay.
film,
I
so,
don't know when I saw
and
it.
I like it more than Mulholland Drive.
Okay, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to select
Uh,
for me which one is my favorite. I love Blue Velvet also. So like, yeah, there's so many. Uh, yeah.
So I should move on to the next one, right?
Yeah,
Next
unless
one.
anyone has anything to say. Sanjeet,
No.
Itish,
No.
no?
No.
Okay.
So my next film would be, मैं भूल चुका हूँ अभी इस फिल्म को. It would be Persona.
What a list.
Bergman.
This is like my
Wait. Just to put in context for people who are listening, Yash is barely 20. You're 20 now, no?
Yeah, I'm 20.
Yeah.
At
You
20,
watching
your
all of the
touchstones are Persona, a David Lynch
Persona.
film, and 2001. Like I'd have like a
2001, though, I think most of the
2001
people have seen it like 18, 19.
Bergman at the age of
Bergman.
20 is like heavy stuff,
And the
man.
reason I said मैं भूल चुका हूँ क्योंकि मैंने 2 साल पहले देखी थी
Yeah.
Persona.
18. I mean, what were you
Uh,
doing, Dhruv, at 18? Kal ho na ho, binge,
nahi, yaar, 18 pe what was I doing?
double bill.
It was college, no? Undergrad.
Yeah.
Udan was 18.
Udan, yeah.
Bergman though came
Yeah.
much later. Uh, three
But
years
still,
later,
I
or
mean,
4 years later. Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like it's just way too early to watch all these movies, bro.
हाँ,
Like
पहले से
Bergman, though, I
अरे
feel.
you'll
I
just want to like sit at home and like watch the sunset and like whatever talk about like stuff that your parents will be like, what the hell is wrong with you? Yeah.
उस टाइम मैंने ऐसे बर्गमैन सुना था नया नया
हाँ.
एंड आई थॉट आई शुड स्टार्ट हिम. तो मैं उस टाइम ऐसे इलीट होने के लिए मूवीज देखता था टू हैव एन
हाँ,
इलीट
सबने
टेस्ट
किया
और
है
ये सब.
वो, सबने किया है
हाँ,
वो.
तो
Hmm.
the first name I found was Bergman.
हाँ.
Hmm.
So his most popular film was Persona, so I started with it. It literally changed how ये this is the most impactful film I have watched. और अभी मैं भूल चुका हूँ 2 साल बाद.
It's
Still I know it's impactful.
The weird thing is, it's the best thing to forget about that movie and then get the chance to rewatch it
Yes.
without any memory, because that movie is
That's why I'm not
absolutely
watching it yet.
incredible. I watched like the first 10 minutes again for some class. The first 10 minutes are so bloody good. I was like, कौन करता है वहाँ पे बैठ के यार? Like, it's not even typical Bergman actually. It's very cinematic, like cinematic in the sense that
the hand sequence, the kids, the
hand
child.
sequence, and like it's proper like montage hai also, like first 10 minutes mein. This is like this is my episode, Sanjeev. You've got people who love films I love. This is good.
Yeah.
You've not seen Persona, right?
Uch time I read something about consciousness. I barely knew about the word consciousness, but I read an article or something.
Yeah.
So this movie impacted me 2x because I just read that consciousness article, and this film just hit the right spot at the right time. And इसलिए मतलब that's why I'm hooked to this film as of now.
No, that makes sense. It's I mean, everyone should watch Bergman. I think I would suggest not at the age of 8 though, at the age of like
but everyone would eventually come to Bergman.
I mean, they will. A lot of people don't like Bergman, which is fair. I think the criticisms for Bergman are very valid. I think, but we'll get to those when people criticize him. I don't want to get to it now. But yeah.
Have you seen Bergman Island yet?
Oh, that's my favorite film of the year.
I've like seen 7th Seal, like half of it, and then I never continued.
Sacrilege.
I know. Yeah. I've done worse things.
I know. You've left burning on for 20 minutes and left it. So yeah.
39 minutes. Be precise.
Sad. It's just sad.
Yeah. And yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Last film होगी मेरी Federico Fellini, of course. It's 8.5, and it was my first Fellini film. और मतलब ऑलमोस्ट सबकी फर्स्ट ही होती है फेलिनी की
8.5
हाँ तो मतलब दिस मूवी ये तो इतनी मतलब इन हाउ शुड आई से दिस
पूरा surrealism theme actually in your choice actually.
I always had lots of words when describing this film, you know.
I also
I was a couple of months back, like I think we had like posted something, and I got like a lot of comments that people didn't like 8.5 that much. It was very surprising for me, because I was like, how can someone not like this film of all things? I mean, of course, people cannot.
Isn't it a bit?
That's their own choice. I mean, they can do whatever they want, but
isn't it
just
a bit?
8.5 just feels like something people in general wouldn't dislike, because the kind of film it is. Because I feel when I watched 8.5, although it is not, I mean, equally impactful, but like the kind of stuff it was doing with just like camera and everything around, like the characters and the whole dream sequence and all of that, I was like, this is, I mean, just like so good to watch, like just as like a watching thing only, even if you're not like sitting and analyzing or something that you're hoping would turn out to be like a classic like type of thing. Like just like sitting and watching something is just like a very good viewing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I thought. And then like when people's comments and DMs
who are
and
these
whatever,
people?
It is amongst someone we know also. I'll tell you later. No name shaming.
But
I know this person.
Continue.
Most criticism, मतलब 8.5 के लिए जितनी भी मैंने ऐसे criticism देखी है वो mainly आती है इसके voice over की वजह से, जो post production dubbing थे dialogues के, और but it was normal in Italy at that time.
Yeah.
Italian history उसके लिए पढ़ना पड़ेगा, तो पर लोगों ने वो पढ़ा नहीं, और फिर 8.5 में ऐसा लगता है कि
I know what you're saying.
It's so unprofessional और ये वो, तो जहां तक मैंने क्रिटिसिज्म पढ़ी है 8.5 की वो यही थी, बाकी तो everyone loved it in my circle at least.
No, I thought the criticism was that it's just too far up its own whatever.
Too
like it's
indulgent. Yeah,
too,
I know.
because it is,
Too
right? It's
self-indulgent.
about a
It is.
filmmaker making a film. No, I love it. I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying what the criticism is, because
Mhm.
that guy is super
Yeah.
inspired by it. No, Paolo Sorrentino.
Sorrentino. Yeah.
All of his films are a
Sorrentino.
lot inspired by that. So I've seen only one film of his, so I need to watch more Sorrentino also that way.
You watch Hand of God?
No, I've watched The Great Beauty.
Hand of
Yeah.
God is amazing. You should
I've
watch
heard it's very, very good.
Yeah, even it's in
Yeah.
my list.
It's in your list once you
Never
clear up
ending.
the other ones which you've left half with. So,
Since
yeah.
2020, no? Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay. I think we can move on to Itish, the silent lad, sitting in one corner. Go ahead, Itish.
Yeah. Okay. So my first film would be Stalker by Andrei Tarkovsky.
Again, wait. Again,
Yeah.
putting into context, Itish is just 18. Go ahead, Itish.
Yeah. Yeah. And I watched it last year when I was 17.
17. Very good.
Jesus
Very good.
Christ.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for me, it was an introduction to like slow cinema, right? And
Very slow cinema.
मतलब मतलब इतनी slow है, but it's still very engaging. मतलब visually भी काफी अच्छी है. What it wants to say, मतलब कि like the faith is being lost among people and it needs
Yep.
to be there or it doesn't. That is something I like very much. और इतनी मतलब I would be lying if I said कि मेरे को हर चीज समझ आ गई first watch पे. तो
Yeah,
नहीं
I
उससे
don't.
समझ तो नहीं आई थी, but visually मेरे को इतना वो हुआ था कि क्या देखा है मैंने. Like
Okay.
it's
Some people refer to
so
it as
different.
an action film.
Yeah.
Stalker
That
is
makes
For
sense.
me, yeah, like for me, sci-fi is what it's like an MCU film or something like that. No, like Nolan
Sanjeet's
or
favorites.
something
Yeah.
where action is happening and all. But Stalker is so different than all of that. I
Yeah.
hadn't even seen 2001 yet, so it was
So,
really good.
नहीं, but
तूने
I think
2001 नहीं देखी?
नहीं अब देख ली तब नहीं देखी
अच्छा
थी.
ठीक है
no, but yeah, Stalker is strangely, I watched Stalker much later than other Tarkovsky movies. Just actually, it's a little like there is actually a plot, like a very, very you can break
Yes,
down the
yes.
plot. It's a very simple plot actually. It's just the execution is much more whatever about philosophical themes and all that, right?
Much
And
more
it
like
has
somber
one
kind of a tone.
and it has one transition which is incredible. Like even I had seen like whatever other Tarkovsky, but एक transition है movie में जिसमें like you just mind blown type of things. Won't spoil, Sanjeet. You are due to watch. Yeah.
I've only seen like what Ivan's Childhood and Solaris, so I have to
You
see a lot
finished
of episodes.
Solaris?
Yeah, told you long back.
Okay. Go on, Itish. Sorry, we are barging in on your favorites.
Yeah. So should I move on to my next film?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, fatafat.
Okay. So next film would be the Apple trilogy by Satyajit Ray. Like anyone, you can pick Pathar Panchali to be exact. So yeah, it's very simple. It's not something like very new or like for me at least. मतलब Indian films देख के बड़ा हो तो influential तो है ही बहुत हो. तो मतलब इतना है नहीं. But पूरी Apple trilogy से मेरा मतलब एक different connection ही है. मतलब मेरे को लगता है कि मतलब मेरी story है basically जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा वो हो रखा है. क्या कहते हैं? तो मतलब वो personal level पे भी मैं उसको ज़्यादा वो लेता हूँ. Apple trilogy. But it's that कि मतलब वो भी काफी slow है. कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा पूरी पाथर पंचाली. It doesn't have like कि कुछ एक basic plot है.
फर्स्ट वाली में नहीं है ना कुछ ज्यादा आई थिंक. सेकंड वाली में तो फिर भी
सेकंड वाली या हाँ मतलब फर्स्ट वाली में वही पाथर पंचाली में नहीं है ऐसा कुछ. बस कैरेक्टर्स है और उनके मतलब हार्डशिप स्ट्रगल्स और देयर लाइफ. सो हाँ वही कि मतलब काफी सिंपल सी फिल्म है बट इट डज लीव दैट इम्पैक्ट ऑन यू. मतलब मैं 2-3 दिन तक सोच ही रहा था उसी फिल्म के बारे में. उसका म्यूजिक हो या कैरेक्टर्स हो लाइक इट वोंट लीव माय माइंड. पर अभी भी मतलब मेरी फेवरेट फिल्म वही होगी.
So you watched them all together or how was it like one after the other?
Yeah, I watched Pathar Panchali, then 2 days later Aparajito, and like 2 days later the Apur Sansar.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how
I think Ray, what he did with Apu trilogy, I mean the like the thing that actually hit me are the emotions of how subtle they were and how impactful they were. Like they actually hit you.
Yeah.
And that I thought sometimes I couldn't like process how did he even like manage to pull those things off. Even like I mean techniques and all of that I love, and that's I think a separate topic for some time later. But just the fact like even the simplest of the simplest emotion just carries so well to you as a viewer. And I thought because I'm not going to specify the scene, but there's this one scene where someone dies, and the way it's like shot, because it's a silent film. There are no dialogues in that sequence. I think Itish knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Whoever's seen that would know. And the way that scene hits you, I thought it was like marvelous. I mean, and because I was so engaged in it, I thought about it like days later. That was so good, and it stays with you for a longer time. Yeah.
Also, Patthar Manchli was the film which put India on the world cinema map.
Yeah. I mean,
उससे पहले थी थोड़ी फिल्म्स पर ऐसे इतना रिकॉग्निशन नहीं था
गुरुदत्त का नहीं था कुछ उसके पहले, या नहीं था, या राज कपूर था,
ऐसा रिकॉग्निशन नहीं था कि इतना एक्लेम मिल रहा हो.
तो मतलब पार्थर पंचाली तो went to Cannes, no?
There were Bimal Roy movies that were quite acclaimed in the 40s and everything, but I think actually Ray took us to. Everyone knows his impact.
Ray is the bridge between India and international.
Yes.
I mean, I think every bigger filmmaker has more or less seen Ray. I think.
Wes Anderson.
Every cinephile globally knows Appu trilogy only. Or
they should watch, because I think that's a very
Indian
good
Boyhood.
entrance.
I always think to me, I never connect with Boyhood, but like this is like my sort of Boyhood thingy in essence. Appu
it's like the Malgudi days before Malgudi days.
Yeah,
but
I love in that trilogy basically how it goes. This is kind of spoiling it, but like
there's no spoiling it. It's been there for like 60, 70 years.
It goes from a child who dreams of being someone to an adult who believes that he is no one. That's the trajectory of it, which is so like it's like you're autobiographing almost a normal person's story, like a normal person. Like it doesn't feel like the extraordinary hero who like gets whatever he wants and all that. And all of the films are like so marked by like deaths all around, like all of them. So it's all like and then his continuing through it. I know I made it like sound very depressing. It's not that depressing a movie.
No, it's not.
So
I didn't even cry.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, in Pathar Panchali I didn't cry. It just hit me for some time. I was like, if something like this happens to me, if I lose somebody like this, how would I react? And the entire trilogy teaches taught me that. I would say how to react to a situation.
Yeah, at the age of 17 and 18 to learn that is pretty remarkable. Can I please tell you that?
I think I'm in my Aprajito phase right now, and my Appu Santar phase is like next.
शादी के बाद.
I mean, hopefully not, because that movie always like to me it always is the best whenever Sharmila Tagore is there, and then after that the whole existence, whatever happens with him in the Pahad and all, I was a bit like unconvinced by it.
Apur Sansar is my favorite in trilogy.
Oh, you okay? Mine is Pathar only. And Apari. I really like Apari.
Makes sense.
I don't know. I could define each one of them separately. I think I view them as like one only. I feel. But go ahead, Atish.
My next film would be 8.5 by Federico Fellini. मैंने होता है ना कभी that you get too overwhelmed of watching films, तो मतलब interest का lose होने लगता है, या you get bored or you don't feel like, तो मतलब मैंने like 2 weeks later or something, after taking a break, I watched 8.5, and it's such an acclaimed film, like one of the best films ever made, and you hear so much good about it, like कि बहुत अच्छी film है, what surreal and everything.
Cinetasticc की favorite है.
तब तो नहीं थी वैसे. फिर उसके बाद क्या कहते हैं, और उसका इक्वली वो भी मिलता है, क्या कहते हैं कि इतनी अच्छी नहीं है और ओवररेटेड है, किसी ने लिख रखा होता है कहीं ना कहीं, जैसे लेटर बॉक्स पे मिला। तो मतलब मेरे को पता नहीं था कि एग्जैक्टली कैसे रिएक्ट करूंगा, और फिर देखने के बाद आई वाज लाइक एंटरटेनिंग है काफी, 8.5, इट कीप्स यू हुक्ड। मतलब उसका पूरा कैमरा एक हिसाब से, फेलिनी का कैमरा डांस कर रहा है पूरी फिल्म में ऐसे लोगों के बीच में। हाँ, तो मेरे को काफी लाइक इट्स रियली डिफरेंट और काफी एंटरटेनिंग भी है। तो मतलब मेरे को ऐसी फिल्में पसंद आती है कि एंगेजिंग भी हो और क्या कहते हैं, और एक डिफरेंट अप्रोच भी हो, और फिर उसके बारे में
you all might know this, but जब फेलिनी मूवी बना रहा था तो कैमरा के नीचे उसने लिखा हुआ था, रिमेम्बर दिस इज अ कॉमेडी, while making 8.5.
Nice. I didn't know about this.
But है उसमें like especially it goes into a proper carnival mode right after a point, तो like जब dream sequences on में चल जाता है, then it's properly like carnival mode, absolutely. So yeah,
there was an alternate ending which was far depressing than what the actual ending was.
okay. I need to rewatch 8.5. I think I watched it a long time back, and I have like faint memories of it. But
I have good memories, but even I need to
rewatch it. Right?
Arey, remind me. I will send you the alternate ending.
Okay.
Send.
Yeah.
I will rewatch it tonight.
For listeners, if you follow this podcast, if you follow it on Spotify, Cinetasticc will send you a cut, the alternate cut.
Yeah, promotion.
Whatever. I'm just giving them some leverage. Okay, anyway. It is continue. Sorry.
हाँ, तो ये है फेलिनी की मतलब फर्स्ट फिल्म 8.5 ऐसे, मतलब फर्स्ट फिल्म ही होती है सबकी, और एवरीवनस लाइक कि पहले ये नहीं देखनी चाहिए, पहले दूसरी फिल्म में देखनी चाहिए, बिकॉज उसका टाइटल भी इतना बेटर है। फेलिनी ने उतनी फिल्म बना ली थी तब तक आफ्टर, बट मेरे को नहीं लगता, मैंने कहा पहली फिल्म यही देख लो, इट्स लाइक वेरी एंटरटेनिंग। अगर प्रीवियस फेलिनी फिल्म्स के साथ कंपेयर करें तो ला डॉल्चे विटा को छोड़ के।
Yeah. No, but I think his career was also he went from very realist sort of stuff to surrealism. No? So I guess it might put that into context, but I've only seen one other Fellini film which I really like, but it's very different. Nights of Cabiria or Cabiria.
Cabiria. He goes from a neo-realist to an anti-neo-realist.
Yeah, pura. I think but maybe that helps in doing some of the 8.5 ka jo bhi hota hai. But I have no Fellini expert.
Yeah, go ahead, Itish.
Yeah, so my fourth film would be Ace in the Hole by Billy Wilder. Have you guys seen it?
Yes, great film. This is my episode, Sanjeet. Thank you. Yeah.
वो भी मतलब ऐसी कुछ बिल्कुल ही न्यू फिल्म या ऐसा नहीं है कि काफी डिफरेंट टेक्निकली काफी डिफरेंट फिल्म हो या कुछ, बट इट्स लाइक व्हाट, मतलब उसका एम क्या है, इट्स कि मीडिया कंजम्पशन या पूरा क्या कहते हैं, इट्स अगेंस्ट दैट, मतलब
media circus. There's a literal circus in it. Yeah.
Wilder is saying like he literally said fuck off to everyone through that film, even to the audience and also to the ones who provide us with media. So
I think it's one of the first, not one of the first, there are other films, but like it is one of the first which is a very like sensationalist media and all that, like a lot of वो पूरा satire जो है ना, जो like now we've seen in stuff like People Live, not comparing the two, I'm just saying that similar sort of जो themes होते हैं वो recur होते हैं बाद में, धमाका I guess, I haven't seen but I'm just giving example.
Night Crawler हो सकती है।
नहीं, but
network.
No, it's still different, I think, a little bit. But yeah,
okay.
Same. जो भी वही point वही है. But yeah, watch it also. It's very good. It's very good.
Continue this.
Yeah, और मतलब उसके मतलब रेलेवेंसी भी इक्वली है, मतलब जितनी उस टाइम पे थी उसका ये भी नहीं कहूंगा कि वे अहेड ऑफ इट्स टाइम और समथिंग लाइक दैट, कि तब भी उतना ही सब क्या कहते हैं बेकार था, अब भी सब उतना ही बेकार है, there has been no change, so it's very real.
This is an optimistic episode, Sanjay.
Yeah.
But tell me one thing. What like I think I'm like deviating into a different direction. But tell me one thing. What do you think about the term "way ahead of its time"? Do you believe in it?
Would be used only for Metropolis by Fritz Lang, I don't think.
I feel no film is way ahead of its time. I think when it has to arrive, it arrives. And
Yeah,
if
same
people
for
don't
me.
appreciate, that's their problem, right? I mean,
No,
film.
but then it becomes ahead of its time, no, if people don't appreciate.
I mean,
So
if
are
you
you
want
just
to
saying that people are stupid and like people don't appreciate stuff at like
what's
the
new,
correct?
man? About that?
I thought you were giving 8-year-olds credit for understanding 2001.
8-year-olds who've not seen a lot get a lot of credit if they watch 2001.
Okay, fine. This
Okay,
logic
yeah.
doesn't equate to me, but okay, fine.
I'm asking. I just asked the question. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll move on to Dhruv,
You?
sir.
No, you
No,
go
you go
first.
ahead.
Okay, fine.
Mine, I don't know. You go ahead. It's too
Mine are much more lowbrow
vanilla.
now. Okay, like I think we should have gone first so that like
No.
the graph.
Yeah.
So you're like just gonna go like that.
Bergman,
Bergman, Tarkovsky, Fellini,
Kubrick,
Nikhil Advani.
Nikhil Advani.
So I think I'm just going to go more than changed. I think it's more like what got me into cinema, and then films that kind of just added stuff which changed my perception of it. So I think the first film I remember crying in is Kalonao. So it automatically is a touchstone regardless of whatever faults and flaws it has now. I've not rewatched it like in forever. I don't know how long, but I remember I distinctly remember first time going to the cinema and whatever, absolutely crying like anything at the end. And I was like, oh wow, cinema can actually make people cry. And I was like, okay, wow. And then my sort of fascination with Shah Rukh Khan started from there. And then whatever followed was, and then I think I got into Bollywood most then. I didn't watch much foreign, though definitely not. But even Hollywood was very like back burner types. And then but yeah, like I still, whenever we talk, Sanjeet, about Bollywood stuff, that's why I think we both, you'll probably have one or two yourself, but like we have like a very fond memory of some Bollywood aspect, right?
Yeah.
So I think that goes back to that idea of it. So yeah, that's my sort of first introduction to cinema, I guess, in Bollywood. And then after that, I think the big sort of where I was like, oh wow, cinema can be like intellectually explosive was Inception, Christopher Nolan, which is like, I watched it the first time and I was like, wait, what? Like, what is going on? But I was like super into it. I was like, I was like, wow, this is like for so many levels to, it's super, it might, again, I've not seen it in a while, but like it might be superficial levels of dreams, but like the idea of it stuck so much. That's one of the few films I've watched like 3-4 times in the cinema. Generally don't do that because I don't mind watching films on the small screen. But just the impact of it was big. I think how much you can go apart, like away from, girl meets boy romances and like whatever. Bollywood there wasn't like something that sort of had that intellectual explosion in my head. And when I watched it, I watched this, I was like,
mostly Hindi films are driven by just emotions, right? It's a certain emotion or a certain incident.
Yeah.
And that incident also leads up to an emotion. It was like because I think that's how our inbred culture has been in a sense.
Yeah.
Especially most of the northern India and like central India and everything.
Yeah.
So I think it's very rooted in that sense of the kind of filmmaking that was more prominent that time. Now though it's become, now the people don't embrace the filminess at all in films.
Now it's different.
I mean, filminess being the kind of stuff that we used to watch in mid 2000s, early 2000s, or even like late 90s, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Now though it's just like more inspired by what you see,
like aping the West.
What we see, aping the West in any way. Yeah, in a way. So I mean, we've bastardized our own, versions of making something, but I feel the course is still there, and some of the films that embrace the filminess, they've actually done well.
Go
according
ahead,
to
plug,
me, I feel.
Plug the movie that we've been
plug Atrangire. But anyway, I mean, I don't want to get too much into. You go ahead.
Yeah. No. I mean, what the only thing with these films is like, what more is to say about Inception? Like, everything's been said about it already. But I think it's also like so after that, I have watched subsequent Nolan films, which is Interstellar, which is very good, but I find it a bit cheesy. Dunkirk, which I love. probably I would say equal to Inception almost. That film is great, I think. And then Tenet, where I lost my mind. So basically, what people would complain about, the whole emotional hollowness of Nolan films, right? And I think from what I remember of Inception, I remember that there was something at least of an emotional core. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gravitated towards it this much. I generally don't operate just concept. So Tenet to me was a lot mechanical. I was like, I can't do this. I need people. I don't need physics, whatever characters talking about mechanics of the world. And I was like, okay, I'm checking out there. But
Nolan's been a game changer for many Indian teens.
Yeah, I know.
According to my observation.
No, I know. he is very influential. I mean, I would still think I'm a Nolan fanboy, but I'm not one of those fanboys. Please, I'm not getting categorized in that.
I was one of those fanboys.
Okay.
When I was 14, I have an IMDb review of The Dark Knight, which is very embarrassing. So, yeah.
So before watching Tenet, I think I had revisited a couple of his movies. So Memento, I think, is still fantastic. I think it's really terrific. Memento is fantastic. Yeah, Insomnia I had watched, which I was hot and cold on. Which you really like.
I think Insomnia is something has grown on me over the years now. Because I think I watched Insomnia after the whole
time
Nolan
stuff.
Yeah, then I was like, Insomnia is just so normal when I watched it first. But then later normal, when I watched it, I was like, it is bloody brilliant in a sense of being like a crime thriller. And there's a lot of stuff you can appreciate in that, I think.
I don't think
Pacino
that much is there, but yeah.
It is there. I think you should rewatch it. Definitely there's a lot to it. How many times have you rewatched?
I watched it first time, I didn't like it. Second time I rewatched recently, a year back.
Okay. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought I appreciated much more when I watched it the second time.
You know which movie I appreciated much less of Nolan when I watched it the second time? Following. I really liked it the first time, but second time I was just like, this is the type of stuff which I don't connect with anymore. It's all trickery, narrative trickery, puzzle box hota na, what's the puzzle box narrative? You have to fit all the pieces, but actually emotional core usme mere nahi tha in Following. So that movie didn't click. But Inception I've always been scared to revisit because I'm like, I don't want to lose the impact it had on me when it did. Which, I mean, the main criticism against that movie is what? Exposition. That's it, right? It's very, there's only detail and nothing else, right?
Yeah,
I'll rewatch it sometime. I'm curious. But do you not like it?
I've not rewatched it. Whatever.
Okay.
Yes, do you like it?
Same for me. मैंने भी rewatch नहीं करी.
Okay. And Itish?
I think I've only watched it once in the beginning.
I haven't even seen it.
Oh, you've not seen it ever?
No.
Is this some Nolan, whatever, what is it called? Animosity or no fondness of Nolan?
No, I didn't. I never really loved Nolan that way, you see.
Yeah.
Hello, bro, moment.
Everybody loves Nolan, it's the best director, but I have this friend in real life, my school friend, and he I shouldn't start talking about him, but he was
बात कर लो ऐसे.
So वो नोलन फैन है और उसने इतना इरिटेट कर दिया था मेरे को नोलन के बारे में बोल के कि मैंने कभी मतलब मेरा मन नहीं करा कि नोलन को कभी मैं इतना सीरियसनेस के साथ देखूं. Every time I'm voting on, I have him in mind.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean,
is that your reaction to Marvel, Sanjeet?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. That's what happened with Spider-Man mostly.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever.
You are one of the few people who thinks Eternals is better than Spider-Man, which is
I do.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, it's shocking.
What is sacrilege? You don't decide what is sacrilege, please.
What is the thing that I don't like that you like? Spencer, but that's not a good movie.
Even that is a sacrilege.
I'm kidding.
Anyway,
yeah.
I'll watch Spencer again though. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyways, we're so these are the two sort of conventional, I guess, movies which reduce my cinema or cinephile cred, I guess, right? Because these are popular films.
No, it doesn't.
Whatever.
No, I still love Kal Ho Na Ho. It's in my all-time favorite
I
list.
love it. I love for the
See,
love
you
it for
got
that
fans
movie.
now.
I know.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
your episode.
Yeah, I know. Like, because the next filmmaker, you know who's coming.
Yeah, I know, I
The
know.
third big touchstone
Wait,
is.
wait. It's like the most predictable thing that can never exist.
But then
Yeah,
you said that's why I told you. Like, I've confessed the love so many
yeah,
times
yeah,
that what
yeah,
new will I say? But I've
yeah,
never
yeah.
talked specifically about this movie, have I? Uh,
No, you've never,
I've
never.
never actually, weirdly enough.
No.
But so
And
this
even
was.
like you've mentioned the upcoming, I know what film it is going to be. That is why I'm very
Yeah.
So
considering. But anyway,
it's
you tell the name.
so it's wow, Terrence Malick surprise. The Thin Red
Ha
Line,
ha ha ha.
uh,
Hmm.
which is which is the movie which kind of mixed the two things, which Kalhuna Ho and Interstellar, wow, Inception did. You know, mixed
Huh.
the two like emotional and intellect both. You know, when they fuse
Hmm.
together and you like come out of a movie, and I was just like,
Sorry, which film are you talking about?
the
The Tree
Thin
of
Red
Life
Line,
or
the
okay,
Thin
Thin
Red
Red
Thin Red
Line,
Line.
Line. Okay,
the
okay.
war film
हाँ
which released
I
with
know.
Saving Private.
मैंने देखी
Saving
नहीं है
Private
but
Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, Tree of
Hmm.
Life also you can put in there. Both of them are there, but like the
हाँ
Thin Red Line is the first one because I
Was
think
more.
no, because I watched the Tree of Life first actually, and what stayed with me more the first time at least was Thin Red Line, and I guess it reminded me like you know how you discover new forms of storytelling. Like in Inception, it was like, oh wow, people can like think about dreams and dreams and dreams and dreams. In this, it
Hmm.
was also dreams, but in this, it was done in a way which was like very emotional and poetic. And like war films I had seen before, I had seen like the conventional war stuff and everything. And what the Thin Red Line did is like completely break that perception, which we have talked about in the case of like something like 2001, right? Where you're like going in
Hmm.
expecting one thing, but in the Thin Red Line, there is no protagonist. I mean, you can argue there
And
is,
I know what you're saying because
but
I've not seen
there
the
is,
film, but I've read some
but you know
stuff
how
about it. So go
Dunkirk,
ahead.
there
Yeah,
is Dunkirk, mein jaise it's like
I know what
no
you're talking about. Yeah,
protagonist.
yeah,
So kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, and then it's yeah, it doesn't have conventional ways in which people talk to each other. A lot of it is just voiceover, and I'm generally not a fan of voiceover, but that film kind of just floated in my head, and floated is the best way to describe how a Terrence Malick film works for me. Honestly, like
Huh.
it's the ability to like I think with his films, and I don't think any filmmaker for me does this, which is why I keep on harping on about Terrence Malick. Uh, I don't need to see his films again. They basically come in and out of my head, like almost
Hmm.
every 2-3 hours in a day. Like images come and go, simple, very romantic notion, but they do. I genuinely
Hmm.
mean it. And so the point is that his films always stick with me in a way that no one else's films does. And that like ability to like just stay there in my head
Hmm.
is what I
Hmm.
like love about him and his work. And I think that's something I've really looked forward to having with other filmmakers
Hmm.
recently. So yeah, I
I have a
hope.
question. I have a question.
Yeah,
It's a very important question.
some
Can an
fucker
8-year-old
little case.
watch Thin Red Line? Thin
Terrence
Red Line.
Malick, yes, they
Yeah.
can. If they can watch 2001, they should watch it as a double bill with Tree of Life. One is a
Okay.
horror film, and one
Yeah.
is the most optimistic
Okay.
film ever, in a way. Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. You done with your 4 movies? I thought you're
Three
done with 3.
movies. Fourth movie is more like a technicality, which is like
If you
it
want
was
to.
No Country for Old Men. I was just talking about it today with someone, and then I was like,
Hmm.
oh, that film really made me think about how people like use common narrative tropes and then like subvert them in very interesting ways. You know, when I first watched No Country for Old Men and the ending happened, I was like, what the hell is
What?
this? Yeah, exactly. I was like, where is
Yeah.
that gunfight? Where is that confrontation?
Where is
Uh,
my desired climax?
yeah, nice. You could say
मैंने
it
अभी
in a less
देखी नहीं है
suggestive
रुको
way.
don't
I
spoil
know.
it too much
Oh, you haven't
Actually,
seen
you've
it?
not seen it. Okay.
नहीं मैंने नहीं देखी
Okay.
We
Many
won't.
We'll दोनों नहीं देखी. Oh, boss, देखो वो
It's
picture तो
good,
देखो.
but you should watch it like
Huh,
stripped
it's
down without
Mhm.
knowing a lot about it, it'll be better, I feel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like strip away the fact also that it has won so many
But
awards, I
do
think.
you think people who are like familiar with Tarkovsky and all that will have that much of an impact with No Country?
I don't know. I
So
really
because
don't. I was,
it was one of my first sort of forays into
yeah, same.
Hollywood.
It came earlier only when
Yeah.
it came out.
Yeah.
पर अभी
So
जितना मैंने सुना I think I would like it.
it is. I mean, Coen
Yeah.
brothers in general are like a favorite
If you
of
like
mine.
Coen brothers, then this
Uh-huh.
is typically Coen-esque.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
And if you like
very much.
westerns,
The only
also, I think.
Coen brother film I have watched is Fargo.
Yeah.
Do you like
Oh,
Fargo?
Fargo. Yeah, it's one
Love
of my favorites.
Yeah. So you like
you should watch more
similar
Coen. I
vibe.
think Coens
Uh,
have like a very
They're fun
solid
also.
style, I feel.
They're very fun.
Absolute fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is
Easy
one movie that they
watches
made.
and
A serious man.
strange humor. A serious man is brilliant. It's so good.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Coens in general would be a good are like a big sort of marker for me in just like how do you use familiar things and then play around with them, which is a thing I really like in films whenever it happens. So yeah, those four, I guess. But especially number 3 on that list is special.
Coen brothers have parted their ways now, right?
Yeah. But in general, they
Part. Yeah.
The Macbeth is Joel
No,
himself.
but I thought
right?
that was just for one film.
I think
don't
they've
know.
parted ways now. I think now they're going to do separate things. And
What?
but if you just delve into a little bit about their process, though, if you're really interested in Coens, because when you listen to the process, you'll actually understand the dynamic between the two of how it works. They aren't like super friendly in a sense that you expect them to be. Like they are a little mechanical. That's what I perceived from whatever interviews that I watched of them.
All
They're
3
quite
of them
mechanical.
are weird, boss. Frances McDormand is also very weird in interviews.
Yeah.
But
no. In general, whatever they spoke about how they like wrote No Country and whatever they've done, whatever, a little bit, because I was very interested in their style and all of that, what they did, and it is very mechanical of.
But they
like in their approach.
They are also directors who don't like
feels a little.
They don't like to reveal everything, I think, about their techniques.
Maybe then probably that's the reason. Because I watched their interviews very early on because I had like a spree of watching their films. Like I watched Barton Fink, A Serious Man, Big Lebowski, Fargo, True Grit, No Country for Old Men, Born After Reading. Like I had back in like college, I had like a spree of watching all these movies. And then I was like fully into them. So I was just searching and then I realized, it's not what I thought they would be in general. So yeah, maybe the parting of ways isn't very unnatural of what I thought would be, because earlier also I think it was only Joel Coen only directing. I think
he
the earlier
got the
films,
credit because they weren't allowed to get duo credit.
Then I didn't know. Because like I think Ethan was more of someone who was like a reflecting board for Joel at that point, I think.
This is sad though. Whatever. I thought they were just like taking time off.
I think Ethan Coen has taken time off, and he didn't want to make Macbeth either. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So yeah, then we'll move on to my set of 4 movies. Stuff that has impacted me. So for me, it's more of a mix of what impacted me earlier in my age, and some stuff that impacted me mostly in my college life, because that's where I started actually getting into watching a lot of movies and everything, reading about them and whatever came along with it. But they've also impacted me in a sense of in my pursuit of filmmaking in general. So it's not just like the stories that have been relatable to me, but they've also been in terms of my expansion of knowing what cinema really is. Breaking a certain notion of what I presumed cinema is limited till, but then there is more, and then there is a lot. It still keeps expanding in a sense. But these were like the first few films which really, really impacted me. And to me, it depends a lot of the kind of style a film picks as well. Because visual style, whatever kind of style the film picks, because I think that reaches out to me first and then everything else follows later on, which is also what happened with 2001. The style impacted me first, the experience impacted me first, and then the questions and whatnot came later. So my first film is I watched when I was a kid. I was 10 at that time. I watched Laksh
Oh yeah, of
by
course.
Farhan
Yeah.
Akhtar.
Hmm.
So at that time I wanted to become a soldier, like get into the army or whatever.
Yeah.
Which the earlier impacted film that impacted me was Border. So I mean, but
Yeah.
Laksh actually did a lot of like bettered that idea of becoming, because it
Much.
was much real, and even though I couldn't relate to a lot of it because I was still a kid, I was like 10. When I became 18, I was like, oh, a lot of it still holds up for me because that's what I watched when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And the story was not just like a war thing. And I feel it's 3 hours long, but I still feel when I rewatched it, I still felt everything held up for me.
Yeah.
And most of the emotions, I mean, this is more of the emotional film. It still impacted me as it did before. The music, the score, Hrithik Roshan.
Did you want to
Farhan
ape
Akhtar's-
what's the main dance number in it? Main Aisa Kyun Hoon, right?
No. In
Okay.
fact, the other song, the Lux title track was more impactful for me than the other song.
This
And
montage.
yeah, the training sort of
Training
montage. And
montage.
then later the Kitni Baatein song,
Kitni
where
Baatein,
they're in
yes,
the
yes,
Bombay.
yes.
I think it's like
That's a very
done really well.
wonderfully filmed sequence. Actually.
Wonderful
Yeah.
film. Yeah, the way it's done. Because even in that sense, it's like a silent sequence only, how it like moves around characters,
Yeah.
the situation, the wars. I still think it's amongst the best war movies ever made also in
Yeah.
general.
I mean, IMDb
It's
doesn't
coming
agree
back
with
to
you, but yeah.
the movie is coming back to me. I've watched it like 6 years ago. So
It's a good movie. It's a very good movie. I don't have the
it's
nostalgia love that Sanjeet has for it, but
I remember it as a good movie.
yeah, it is.
I mean, I also counter the fact it has like nostalgic value for me. So I don't know if how will it hold up for people who don't have that connection with
it's
that
a very
movie or whatever.
it's a solidly made movie though. I think like regardless
Yeah.
of if you love it or not, it's a pretty solid compared to
Yeah.
dirt we get sometimes nowadays. Yeah.
Do you want to mention the name of the movie?
No, I said dirt.
No, yeah. Dirt. That's fine. The next film that like had like the most impact of all things, of all films I've ever seen, and now it's been like bastardized into memes and all that. But in general, at the time I watched it was Taxi Driver. Because that film was like so when I watched it first, I was like, yeah, it's a good movie. I liked it. It was like a lot of stuff that I really liked in it. But that film, after like maybe like a few days later, it just hit me one day. Like I was like, oh, Taxi Driver was that good. Like, you have those times like when films grow on you. कि यार मैंने पहले देखा, and then one day you're like, अरे उस मूवी में ये भी था कि जो मुझे पसंद था, वो भी था. And then you have like certain memories of that film. I think I've seen Taxi Driver probably like 10 or 12 times till now, like in like I think 7 years or whatever since I watched it. And I like the thing is, I mean, there's a lot to appreciate for me because that really pulled me into. I started making short films right before I watched that movie, but that film was actually like a hammer to the nail. Okay, I really want to make films, and because that also broke like how Dhruv told, like it has voiceover and it floats. The movie literally floats for me. I mean, the way it's been made, like the way it begins, it's like the camera is floating around on the streets. I mean, Schrader does it in every movie now.
If Schrader listens to this podcast, you will be his favorite podcaster because you love his film the most.
Yeah, I know. I mean, so I didn't even like want to theorize the ending or whatever you want to call that, because I feel, as I just said, the experience really matters. The experience has like just like ingrained in my head. Like I can't take that movie out of my head at all. Like because it was so impactful. The Bernard Herrmann music, the Chapman cinematography, of course. I think everybody's shot that the mirror shot of like someone looking behind the car. But I think nobody has ever replicated the kind Taxi Driver pulled off, I feel, because I think it's just contextually also done so well.
Yeah.
And it has like very whatever.
Is Taxi Driver and Fight Club the two films which very frequently misinterpreted by quote
Yes.
unquote film bros as being
Yes.
about cool macho men,
Yep.
right? Those are the two
It
films.
is, but it wasn't the case with me. I mean, I
No,
viewed it
I know that.
on a
I know that.
different level altogether.
I know.
Because
I'm not blaming
no,
you.
no,
I'm not tagging you as that.
no.
Go ahead.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying, because I think not just these two movies. I think there are a lot of other movies which people, I think mostly men,
Goodfellas, I guess, to some extent, right? A Wolf of Wall Street, some people, I think it condones whatever it's showing.
I think
This would come as a shock, but American Psycho is also in this list.
Oh, it's like, this is
some people,
this is the
some-
model man. Like they take it
Yep.
seriously rather than
Yep,
thinking
yep,
it's actually making fun of it, or like
Yes.
poking fun. Okay.
I
Got
mean,
it.
I think that's also because some people don't get the tone of it, I feel.
American
Or-
Psycho, but like for Taxi Driver, they don't get the fact that he's literally the loneliest man in the world.
Yeah,
Or like,
like, yeah. I
goes
mean, even
about
though
like,
he says it, it's
yeah, I mean, it's such a
But-
like the whole movie is so like sad. Like there's nothing glamorous about his life.
I mean, that was also the
On my
time I
first
dropped
watch-
out of college. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, that
On
part
my first
actually.
watch, Travis Bickle was my hero. On my first watch, I was like, Travis Bickle is the best guy.
Literally
This
me.
is someone I have to look up to
Literally
from now
me.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the memes have like sort of like made it like a joke now, but I still feel anyone of any generation would watch Taxi Driver and it would have a certain impact on them. I mean, this is that one movie, I don't care about anyone's opinion about the film. I legit don't care about anyone. You can like say whatever you want to tell about, talk about the film. I really don't care, because I feel what I have my feelings towards this film, because it actually pushed me into something else, like for my pursuit. Because I was like, I can also make something like this. Like, why didn't I never thought of something like
I'm also God's
mean-
God's lonely man.
yeah. I mean, in my pursuit.
This movie plays like this only, that he's like me, and by the end you see, no, he's not like me. He's just
He's not. He's
no,
not.
he's an anti-protagonist.
But it's a fabulous film. I don't know if what
It's
I would have
also-
been as a person or as a filmmaker if I had not seen
I've not.
Taxi Driver.
We've seen main sort of Schrader stuff. I think Schrader does all this stuff very well, though. I think you capture a man in a time which is super like violent and polarizing, and then just throw the man
Like
in
Sleeper,
there.
First Reformed, anything. Yeah.
I mean, First
Even
Reformed is
Mishimo.
the other sort of big touchstone. You really loved it also, right? We both.
I
really
love
loved it.
you should watch Taxi Driver with Schrader and Scorsese's commentary.
Yep.
It's
I've heard.
I have heard it's really good.
Yeah, both
I've
of them
seen a
are.
lot of interviews and all of that, but I've never seen like a
Both of them
commentary.
are super articulate about cinema in general. So I think maybe that's.
You know who was going to? I mean, Schrader was a co-writer with Brian De Palma. At that time, they had written Obsession, which was like a very Hitchcocky, like his version of Vertigo. So you know Brian De Palma's obsession with Hitchcock and all of that, and with Vertigo, with Obsession was like a very conventional ending. But Schrader was like he wanted to do so much more, and he had already approached De Palma with the script for Taxi Driver. But De Palma was like, no, I can't do this, because he already had like some disagreements. And then he went to Scorsese, and then Scorsese went like, how did you manage it? Like, how did you manage writing my story? Which I was like, yeah, I mean,
his cameo in that is also very, very effective. Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
So Scorsese started the literally meme.
Yeah.
He did it first.
He did it first.
But this too is I think those two will make a solid double bill though. Huh? I know other Schrader films also, First Reformed and Taxi Driver like.
Absolutely.
There's a Schrader and Scorsese film called Bringing Out the Dead.
Bringing Out the Dead. I love that. Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. I was surprised people didn't like Bringing Out the Dead as much. But Bringing Out the Dead is equally effective. It's more mad, I feel. It's like more like drugs, because
Upar se Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, he goes like a lot of places, he goes full Nicolas Cage. But there are like things that they did in the film, like towards the end, which I was like, oh man. I mean, they went for something else altogether in the film, which is not just surprising, but it's like very impactful. That's in that sense also, like bringing out the dead. But Schrader and Scorsese are a very good combo. Whatever they've written till now, Last Temptation of the Christ, and even Raging Bull, I think.
Yep.
But whatever. Okay, we can move on to my third film, and this is another filmmaker who has been like a constant impact, inspiration for me to achieve a certain sense of a cinematic language, which I feel is the hardest to replicate.
I have two names in my mind.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes.
I mean, you can take a wild guess.
Robert Altman. Video
what's the other? No, I'm not. Okay. What's the
Paul
other
Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, it's Paul Thomas Anderson.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
I mean, Altman and Paul Thomas Anderson have a very similar filming language anyway. But anyway, I mean, for me, it's like one can make a Kubrick film. Like I think people can have replica. I think Killing of a Sacred Deer is in a sense like a Kubrick film, even like The Favorite by
and Spencer.
Yeah. But for me, what I think replicating a Paul Thomas Anderson cinematic language will be the hardest, because I don't know how he achieves that sense of like the marrying of the characters, the camera, the score, the direction, the writing. It just flows. I think even, I mean, something that is very similar has been also the Ray's films have that kind of flow in them, a couple of them. But this flow, I feel, has something of like it transcends, I feel. So I feel it is the hardest to replicate. And the film that impacted me a lot is There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be,
yeah. And I can like have like a similar film, which is Punch Drunk Love, which also impacted me. But I'll just talk about There Will Be Blood because I watched it before. I watched Magnolia first. No, not Magnolia. Boogie Nights. Okay. Which it felt like a Scorsese movie. Like it was like felt like a very good impersonation of a Scorsese film. I was like, oh, okay, it's a good film, but it's like it feels like it's Scorsese directed it. And then I watched There Will Be Blood, and I felt like I have never seen anything like this in my life. With the Greenwood score and the character, and Daniel Day-Lewis was on another level. Amongst the greatest performances of all time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what more to say about There Will Be Blood, which hasn't been said, but just as like a cinematic language, just as an experience of what it does with the score and the camera, and I had seen Magnolia also, and in Magnolia the camera is like whip panning and like dollying in like so quickly, and it is like the complete opposite of that, like slow camera movement. And the character is driving the movie. There's no plot in a sense to it. It's just the character, and you're with the character. I think that's an achievement.
PTA is very empathetic with his characters.
Yeah,
I have noticed that, and very deeply connected with them, unlike any other filmmaker.
Yeah, because I think, I mean, he also repeats his themes and all that, which like a master protege theme. Whatever.
Right.
But I mean, even with the master, I feel when I watched it first, my first feeling was I liked it, but I don't know why I liked it.
Yeah, I don't get why I love that movie, but I love it. I watched it 2-3 times now. I don't know why I love it.
And the way it's shot, I was like, how did he manage to? It's like, what are these colors? What is this? So it's just like appreciation, complete appreciation for him. I don't know. And it's another one of those films. Anyone can have whatever opinion about PT, and I won't care, because I have that immense amount of respect for this filmmaker, because what he achieves actually. And my last film, I wanted to say Inception, but since you've already spoken about Inception, I think my feelings have been the same about Inception. But then I won't talk about it. I'll talk about Ugly, which is Anurag Kashyap.
Okay.
Yeah. Another one of those films which is also very character driven, number one, and like Anurag Kashyap in top form. Like that's like I feel his peak form. Like because
okay, do you also think it is better than Gangs of Wasseypur in comparison to Anurag Kashyap on filmography?
I think so, because it's like very super directed. I think
same.
Yeah, because I think there's no plot to ugly either. It's like
It's just like
you're
people are
moving
horrible.
around characters,
Yes,
horrible
yes.
characters, and you're moving around these characters, and at all times you're feeling this person could have done it, this person could have done it. And I think that's what he wanted to achieve, and he achieved like marvelously. And even the way he shot it and everything. And again, coming back to the fact that I was in my pursuit in my early years of knowing what I wanted to do in life. That was another film which impacted me, thinking that I can also do that. I mean, I could relate to the filmmaker in a sense. He was operating at such low budgets and low locations. The filming process in itself became like my film school.
Yeah.
About me wanting to know what I can be able, what I can do. I mean, if anyone discovers my short films, which are there on somewhere on the internet, they'll see the shots that I've literally just copied from his films, which I was like, oh, I can do that. And I'm just done that, even though it wouldn't make that much of a sense. But the fact that I could replicate them and have my own version of it was more satisfying to me at that point. So yeah, I mean, Ugly is a fantastic film. It's a thriller.
Rewatch needed, I think, on my part.
I rewatched it before Choked came out.
Nice.
Which was like the biggest disservice I could have done. I mean, so yeah, I mean, these are my 4 films that have impacted. I mean, there are other films also which have impacted me from time to time. I mean, Bomkesh Bakshi and the Dibakar Banerjee one and Inglorious Bastards also. But these are
You didn't mention Quentin Tarantino in this episode. It's shocking. I thought there'll be someone who will mention
Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino is like he's a gateway to
Even
Hollywood.
I think Tarantino and Nolan are like the easiest gateways into Hollywood.
That's true.
Because I think they embody everything Hollywood also has been about. Yeah. Sorry, what?
That would have been too obvious.
Exactly, yeah.
Name that.
No, but I love Quentin Tarantino fair bits also, but like,
I love him, yeah.
You to love him more, I think, but
of course, yeah. For like obvious reasons also. I mean, for whatever he does with his filmmaking and all of that. Yeah. But
I probably would have thrown in Edgar Wright somewhere also, just to like plug it in again, because I have a huge affection for him. Like in terms of comedies, because I don't like many comedies, so I always think that someone who can make me laugh is like funny.
When you mentioned Terrence Malick, I thought I should have added The Tree of Life, because that also moved me in a way.
Yeah, it is really something which Sanjeet needs to see.
I haven't touched Malick, but I'll touch very soon. Very soon. Like it'll happen out of the blue, and then you'll be surprised. Oh, you watched it. It's like,
it's not necessary that you like it. A lot of people don't like his style, which is fair enough.
No, I mean, liking, not liking is different.
But many refer to it as a gateway to art house cinema.
It is. I mean, this guy only Nolan and David Fincher have cited him a lot. Nolan though definitely has influences from Malick in
of course,
Interstellar,
Thin Red Line and all of that also.
Thin Red Line, Interstellar, both.
Impactful. For
grass, whatever, going through the wheat fields and all that. So
so I think this is the end of the episode. I think we discussed fair bit, and one thing that also tells people about these movies is you can watch any number of movies, but like a certain set of movies are going to impact you and your taste in films. And the idea is to watch more and more, so that and try to discover more and more, so that your sense of cinema and everything around it also keeps on expanding from time to time. So it's not just you stuck on a certain set of films or a kind of films. Which mostly happens with Hindi film goers. Like it's very tough for them to transition into watching world cinema in general. I think we've discussed this before as well. But what happens is it becomes too difficult for them to transition, because your sense of cinema is very narrow-minded at that point. But watching something will also give you insight into a lot of cultural ideas about a certain place or a certain life or certain set of characters.
What I've seen in older generation is they are conditioned to watch certain taste in films. So they reject any film, any foreign film which they think is
I mean, that happens
Well, I think it's important to do it more for people who are young, I guess, now,
Into
because it's
film,
easier
yeah.
to sort of, because older it's also like you've been there and thinking about cinema in that way for so much of time that then it's hard to like change the conditioning that way. But to break away from it, it's very much the whole 8 years ki age pe you watching Ma Bergman type things, and then you like basically go somewhere else in your head.
But okay, solid episode. I think we covered most of our films that impacted us in probably the most best possible way. So thank you to Yash and Itish, the silent lad Itish, who doesn't talk much.
Thank you for calling us. Yeah.
Thank you for coming in and talking. And you can follow. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram at queenisdead.film podcast and follow us on Spotify. It really helps us reaching out to more people. You can also rate us on Spotify so that our podcast reaches out to more people. And you can follow Yash on his Instagram page Cinetasticc and Itish on his Instagram page called Simp For Cinema.
Okay, can we plug our Hindi film page?
Yeah, I'm doing that. They have their another a collaboration of sorts with another person who's already been on our podcast, Simon Bong Cinephile. They have a page together called CKC. I'm not going to name the page, but okay, I might as well. It's called Cinema Ke Chode. It's like a Hindi meme page for like foreign cinema, which I think has some of the best funny material I've seen.
Thank you.
So all of the links are going to be in the description. You can follow Dhruv on Terminal Cinema. He has a very good series about Wes Anderson's.
I got a message saying that we get your love.
French Dispatch. So you can check out his post on French Dispatch. Much more to come for him. You can also follow me on Pixel Baba if you want to. But yeah, this is the end of the episode. Thank you so much. Khatam.
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.